Yeah, tonight I really must talk about marijuana. Now, there's a lot of it in the news lately. The internet the media is flooded with all kinds of articles and opinions and things about how marijuana ought to be legalized, and there's a lot of pressure at the moment, political pressure in different places in the Western world to legalize marijuana. And I don't know, I mean, it's like political pressure, unfortunately, in the Western world can be seen but not heard in a lot of ways, because, I mean, bribing politicians always seems to work in an underhand fashion, and the thing about, I don't really want to address the idea of the issues about all the sociological, public relations image of marijuana, which is the new image is that it's marijuana is the new cotton, marijuana is a cure for cancer, marijuana is good for this, good for that, medical marijuana. The thing is, I want to talk about my own personal experience, and I want to talk basically, ultimately, over how many talks it takes, is tell you why I recommend that no one should ever smoke marijuana. Young people should never think about it. People who smoke marijuana should stop smoking marijuana. And to that end, I mean, I just want to talk about some of the marijuana myths. There's mountains of argument about. I mean, on YouTube, say, there's thousands of medical doctors and researchers who've analysed the cognitive effects of marijuana use, and they do brain scans and measure the visible signs of the effects of marijuana use and that sort of thing, and there's all kinds of statistical surveys on IQ and cognition and whether they're affected by marijuana. There's mountains of those things, and ultimately they're pretty damning, and they should warn people against marijuana use. But personally, I think there's a lot more relevant things to be said about the current social view of marijuana, and because young people, marijuana users, probably would never listen to a scientific analysis of statistics and cognitive and analysis of brain surveys. No one's really interested in that, but I'll just tell you, I have to tell you really about my life, and I want to talk about the myths of marijuana versus the reality, which is, I mean, there's a lot of myths about marijuana, and there's a couple of them that a lot of people will tell you, a lot of pot smokers will tell you, and there's the reality of marijuana use, which is that people ought to be told about as well. Now, so I'm not going to offer a scientific survey. I'm going to tell you about my life, and I've known maybe 50 guys in my life who were marijuana users, heavy marijuana users, and it isn't pretty. I mean, this is my personal experiences of life, is that I've never been much of a marijuana user, to be honest with you. I can't speak as a as a reformed marijuana smoker or a reformed drug addict. I've smoked a bit of marijuana over 30, 40 years. But really, I mean, occasionally I used to smoke it with some friends I knew who were smoking it. And when I was in my 20s, I do remember being impressed with the kind of, first time I smoked pot, it did have a medicinal effect. That's to say, I was under a lot of strain from a whole lot of things in my life, a whole lot of sort of rough, violent, stressful, unhappy, unpleasant life situations. And I smoked pot a couple of times, and it did make me feel a lot more relaxed. It did help me put a lot of stresses in my life in perspective. It gives you kind of like a detached, kind of lateral thinking perspective on things in life. So it's good, it seems good for a bit, but having said that, I never really was a pot smoker. I've traveled around the world, hitchhiked around the world, bummed around the world, and I've occasionally at parties and things over the years, some people, they pass the joint around and I've had a puff, but I never was a big smoker. And so, but my point is, nevertheless, I've got a lot to say about marijuana because my life has been badly affected, very badly affected by marijuana smokers. Marijuana smokers in my family, amongst my friends, in my community, in business. Marijuana's ubiquitous, and it does a lot of damage. And you see, that's part of the problem, because one of the myths of marijuana is that pot smokers are peaceful. I mean, it's a typical, the caricature you used to get when I was growing up was the idea of the hippie. The hippie was, you had alternative, herbal, hippie, counterculture, beautiful, peaceful people who lived in communes or something, and they lived together in peace, and they were against the military-industrial complex and all the bad stuff in society. And they smoked, part of their kind of communal ritual was to smoke marijuana. Now, I mean, marijuana got a lot of good PR out of the hippie movement, because it became associated with appealing ideas, free love, communal living, the anti-war peace movement. Pot became associated with a lot of good things, but ostensibly good things, and it got a reputation for being a peaceful. It made people peaceful. It engendered peace in society. And the thing was, pot smokers were spiritual and calm and easygoing and not easily offended, and that's this sort of myth about marijuana. Well, the thing is, that's not true, actually. Potheads are violent. Potheads are violent. Potheads are addicted. I would go so far as to say that potheads are addicted to a drug, and their drug addiction is just like, it's only a few degrees away from heroin addiction. It's like cocaine addiction. It's like ice addiction. It's an addiction. Because the actual biochemical processes in the brain, which are the mechanics of addiction, they're the same for all these other drugs. So marijuana users, heavy marijuana users, are addicted. And like all addicts, they will, when they run out of money, they will do all kinds of funny things to get more drugs. Now, yeah, well, heroin users, they will lie and cheat and steal, and then they're known to rob banks and turn to prostitution and all kinds of rough things. And cocaine users are known for being crazy and paranoid, and they'll steal your handbag or come over to your house on a pretext and take your computer and take it to the hock shop. And there's these really extreme, there's a really extreme sort of bleak concept of drug addiction that you see with heroin and that's and ice and amphetamines and that sort of thing. Weirdos desperate to do anything, desperately trying to get money any way they can. But what I've seen of marijuana is marijuana users can be just as violent, and they'll do anything for money. They will steal money. They will, marijuana users typically don't hold up a bank, but they will do things like not pay the rent, or just take all their money, all their shopping money, or their grocery money, or their rent money, or their money for the power bill, and they just won't pay the power bill, and they'll buy pot with it. So in that way, they're like alcoholics. They will spend money on alcohol, or their alcohol, spend money on the drug, instead of spending their money on things they should buy, like food for their family, or rent, or shoes for their kids, or whatever. Potheads are always broke. They don't have money. Potheads are always wheeling and dealing and trying to get more money. And that could be trying to sell you something they've stolen, or something they've borrowed from somebody, or something they wheedled out of somebody, or trying to exchange it for money to get more pot. Now, it's funny, but if you don't give a pot, I found if you don't let a pot smoker have what he wants, they do get violent. One way or another, they're going to get violent. And so they're not, the violence of pot smokers is just like a guy who runs his car down. Like he's driving down the road, fuel gauge says, low, 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 low. The further he goes, the lower the fuel gauge gets. And the pot smoker is like a guy who goes, well, we'll just ignore that. I don't have the money for it. We'll just leave it. I'll buy petrol tomorrow. I'll buy petrol next payday. We'll just drive down the road. Now, and the problem is, the pothead's like a guy who runs out of gas on the highway all the time, and he's always running out of, and so he's always desperate. if you're running out of gas all the time on the highway, you're desperate. You're trying to start a ride, you're trying to stick out to stop people, see if they've got any gas, see if they'll take you downtown, see if you take the next servo, you know, cadge some money together to buy some gas, to buy a can, to buy, you know, potheads are always desperate because they've always spent all their money. And they've got some expenses they need to meet. Yeah, and when, as I say, they're like people who, if they're desperate on the highway needing gas, they might stop someone and threaten them and make them give the money. Or that's the problem, is potheads aren't always peaceful. Now, there's another myth about, I mean, by the way, the thing about pot smoking is, along with pot smoking comes along all the health problems associated with smoking. Pot smokers have all the problems that tobacco smokers have. Crap and ash in your lungs, constant smoker's cough, congested lungs, all kinds of health problems associated with toxins in your lungs and your bloodstream. All the problems that come with tobacco, marijuana has all the same problems. So pot smokers have health problems because of simply the fact that they're smokers. But I mean, if you talk to a lot of potheads, they will tell you that they know all these pot smokers who are successful. They know lawyers who smoke pot. They know doctors who smoke pot, supposedly. Or they know a rich guy who smokes pot. And this idea is that there's this idea that smoking pot is healthy, or it's good for the mind, or it puts them in a good zone, or helps them concentrate. They all say something like that, but that's a myth that a lot of potheads will say. But marijuana makes you stupid. It just makes you, there's any number of surveys that show that marijuana smoking severely affects people's IQ, measured IQs. Take measured IQ. There's like a 10% drop. 10% difference on average in IQs. There's like a 10-point difference on average on IQs between pot smokers and non-pot smokers. I remember when I was smoking pot for a while, I was working with a guy, and we were actually doing a conical roof, tiling a conical roof, which is unusual, but there's a simple formula from high school geometry to calculate the area of a cone, which I couldn't remember. It's even really simple to work out. It's like, because it's a proportion of a circle, it's a circle with a piece of a pie cut out. It's really easy to work out this formula for the surface area of a cone. But back then, I couldn't, there's no way on earth I could even remember it. It was like I was brain damaged, I couldn't even concentrate on it. And I found that smoking pot, even just puffing on a joint, was at a party with some friends. I couldn't spell anymore. I used to be a world-class spelling champion, but I couldn't even spell easy words anymore. I forgot how to spell even complicated words. I made spelling mistakes all the time in my emails, and I started looking like a stupid clown. And there's all these symptoms where you see your cognition like crumbling away. Your cognition and your intelligence, it all crumbles away into this sort of stupid, dull, mentally cloyed state where you just basically can't remember anything. And that's part of why pot smokers aren't successful in life. That's why they're always, pot smokers aren't successful. They're poor. They're broke. They have dead-end jobs. Because they simply have no mental acuity. And because of their drugged mental state, I've seen pot smokers just do dumb things all the time. Pot smokers do all the dumb things. You know, they pawn things for money. They borrow things off people and pawn them, with no idea how they're ever going to get the money back, to get the thing back. Pot smokers will go to payday lenders, and you know they'll pay $200 to get an advance on a $1,200 paycheck. I mean, yeah, potheads will. The thing about marijuana, because it dulls your mental acuity, it makes pot smokers make all kinds of silly choices in life, and that could be buying a car, you know, buying a second-hand car. They could just make some silly choices, choosing a partner, or not, or having a one-night stand. Pot smokers are comical because they do all the dumb things, and they're also not very honest, and they're always thieving, and then they're always lying, because they're always trying to steal money to get more money for their pot, well, the thing is, it's yeah, and at the end of the day, I mean, the thing about the drug state of the marijuana user is he's well, I mean, there's statistics. Potheads are more likely to have car accidents, and potheads are a lot more likely to have dangerous and fatal car accidents. And I remember once when I was stoned, 20 years ago, there were some occasions where I was just nearly got killed. I was just doing really stupid things, not concentrating, like at a T-junction, just driving straight out, not looking, nearly getting wiped out, the whole thing. And that happened a couple times because I was stoned. And yeah, because pot smokers are clumsy. You know, they have car accidents. They don't watch what they're doing. You know, they can just not do the handbrake on the car and watch it roll into another car or something. Pot smokers are clumsy. And the thing about it, pot smokers, is they don't like each other. I mean, pot has this reputation of being this great social drug, but all you ever see amongst pot smokers is when one pot smoker goes away from another pot smoker, they instantly start backbiting each other, like ferociously. And that's, you know, all potheads do is complain about what their pothead friends do or what they don't do. And I've known scores of potheads who do nothing but complain about their friends who let them down. And you know, well, if they're living in a house together, a share house, they never pay the rent, or they don't wash the dishes, or they don't take out the garbage, or they don't do this. And potheads are always complaining about other potheads, how they let them down all the time.